true. I think some of these people, and I do think this about like Erica Kirk, like there's certain people that to me seem almost like they've been groomed since childhood as well. That these are people that were just sort of brought into this like vile system. But I don't excuse it. I don't think it makes it okay. I think that's where they come from. I don't think they come from like secret op training or anything like that. I think they come from like being, I don't know, plucked out of pageants and given a lot of luxuries and have sugar daddies take care of them. And now they're just very loyal, and they're people like, I don't know, Pam Bondi, or, let the kind of people that they've just sort of groomed all the way along.
That's a good question. I want to look into it because I could see it happening in many different ways, and I'm sure different countries have different methods of picking up their honey traps. The girls who do this, so that's actually something I'll look into, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, Erica Kirk is a terrible actress. I mean, I've been pointing that out for the longest time. They've been trying to sell the idea that their hands are squeaky clean, but I've been saying that the whole thing about Turning Point USA is that it was a organization that was a response to Obama's run in 2008 and the movement that he had cultivated. And then in response, they created this youth-driven organization with Charlie Kirk at the helm to be that response. And it ultimately led, based on the youth movement that they were able to get out to vote, to Trump winning in 2016 and then again in 24. But all the while, people were not necessarily questioning where was the money coming from, who was funding this organization, what were the intentions behind the scenes that no one was talking about. Were there people that were scamming the organization, like the Tyler Boyers of the world? Absolutely they were. But in the end, who were they? They're just pawns in a much bigger scheme, which is revolved around the issue of Zionism and how the mission of driving home Jewish and Christian Zionism through a medium like Turning Point USA was so exponentially bigger than anything else that was going on. And the second that the person at the helm decides, I don't really want to do this anymore, and they say, oh, no, you're going to do this, or else. And he decided to question, or else. And then lo and behold, he gets removed. And I think this is a perfect transition to our final topic with you this evening. Little Ben Shapiro decided to sweep in with the Daily Wire, but we know it's Israel's money, gives them $1 million right out of the box. Then he gets a speaking spot at AmFest. Then he gets questioned about the USS Liberty, among other things. And the guy just lies through his teeth. And credit to a person who has really stuck to her guns the entire time about Lil Ben Shapiro. Yes, I know that's two.
Twice.
Candace Owens did a fantastic job of putting this clip together, showing exactly why Lil Ben Shapiro is a liar.
It never gets old. It never gets old. And the people love it. The people love it.
Well, we got to give them what they want. That's what it's all about. So here's a string of lies. Jen?
Yes, that is really Ben, for the person asking. That is a teenage Ben Shapiro. And the longer version is he's sitting there and talking to this speed bag like he's going to show us what for. And then that is the result and that is Ben Shapiro, yes.
Jen, how can you tell when an Israeli adjacent individual like Ben Shapiro is lying?
Their lips are moving.
And claim there were tens of thousands of hours of tape. There are, by the way, but they are child pornography. The reason the FBI is not releasing them is because those tapes do not include underage people with third parties on Epstein Island. That is not what the tapes are.
Yeah, I beg to differ. In fact, that's pretty much most of what was on those tapes. Knowing that there was this, like you said, these underage honeypot situations. Now, I'm not saying that they were all underage, but that's how they got people in line. And so to say that Lil Ben is standing on the railroad tracks for the Zio state, that's all he does. And we've had guests, we've had surviving members of the USS Liberty, multiple surviving members of the USS Liberty on our channel, and we've played them clips in real time of Ben lying about the USS Liberty and them just calling him out, saying, yeah, he's a fucking liar. Well, of course, he's just doing it on behalf of Israel, but to disparage service members, especially those who died from the only maritime attack in our nation's history that wasn't met with any type of retaliation, is a prime example of why the Shapiros of the world are the absolute worst, and why we cannot continue to allow them to have the type of discourse and control of discourse that they've had for so very long. We're hopeful that over the course of time, as is the case, because it does appear that the Daily Wire is falling apart, that it will only be a matter of time before he's no longer relevant. And as we have seen, he does farm a lot of his likes and views on his channel. So no surprise.
I also have sources in the federal government who are covering this stuff and have seen the documents. Okay, those tapes are just child porn. That's all. That's what they are. That's why the FBI is not releasing them. Okay, as far as the Epstein list, what I have been told by my sources is that there is no Epstein list. That basically
there's no Epstein list.
There's no Epstein list. No, it was just him and Ghislaine, the two of them working together, trafficking all these girls for their pleasure. To themselves. This is really good, Marvin. The Daily Liar, very good.
Yes, very good.
Yeah.
There's a black book of Jeffrey Epstein contacts, and the vast majority of those contacts are already out there publicly. That's why you know names like Prince Andrew or Alan Dershowitz or some of the names that have been mentioned here. Those contacts, there is no evidence, according to the DOJ and the FBI, and again, that's public. There's no evidence that any of those third parties were having girls trafficked to them.
I mean, he must get paid pretty well to lie like this, you would think. I mean, why else would he
take orders? He just takes orders. They got a whole apparatus, and they actually do have their. I read a book by Cheryl Atkinson called "The Smear," and she talked about like right wing and left wing news journalists. They get handed the story to go and examine and check out, but when they're writing their articles and stuff like that, they're told to use certain descriptive words. Like if you're describing this person or that person, use the word masculine or this or that. So they're told, not only which stories to pursue, but certain descriptive words, which I'm sure are brought forward by, some psychology study or whatever like that. But Ben Shapiro, yeah, he straight out just works for them. And Ghislaine Maxwell, I want to bring this up too, guys. Ghislaine Maxwell, I've heard 3 different victims give speeches on social media and stuff like that, and they all 3 of them said that Ghislaine Maxwell was worse than Jeffrey Epstein, and also I've heard some of them say that she was at the real brains behind the operation. She was the real brains. Think of it like this too, because Jeffrey Epstein's an old man with gray hair. How's he pulling all these little girls? It's Ghislaine Maxwell that can really trick, convince, and pull the little girls, because she's a woman, so she can use that woman on woman, immediately break down that, go around the barrier that an old man with gray hair approaching a little girl would have trouble with. So Ghislaine is an evil monster. She is an evil monster.
Oh yeah.
Well, Jen, you've said that the Zio women are in so many respects worse than the men.
Yeah. Or, I mean, equally, it's equal. I mean, look at, Golda Meir. Golda Meir was very clear that they were going to have to ethnically cleanse the Palestinians. And yet she's revered. So, they're just as evil.
Like I said, Israel can have its own country if it wants, but it's not going to have it with our support anymore. And let's see how long they survive. Probably not very long, but let's make it so.
And that is not evidence that was made clear, certainly, to the DOJ or the FBI. Here is Tucker then asserting that it was actually Mossad. Again, without evidence, not a shock. Of course, this is where Tucker was going. This has become the hot speculation on the internet, is without evidence. You say that Mossad was running Jeffrey Epstein. When I say without evidence, I mean without evidence. Naftali Bennett, the former Israeli prime minister, said, quote, "As a former Israeli prime minister, with the Mossad having reported directly to me, I say to you with 100% certainty, the accusation that Jeffrey Epstein somehow worked for Israel or the Mossad running a blackmail ring is categorically and totally false."
I mean, it is totally and categorically true. And Jen, I really think he puts shit on his face to make it look like he has a
I don't know what's going on. I do not understand the color disparity between the eyebrows and the facial hair, like the rest of the facial. I do not understand. Why does the beard look like it's like just like I
Painted
don't
on.
know. Yeah. Well, that's what I think. Maybe it's like, shit from sucking someone's, anywho.
He does it all for the money.
Well, he doesn't know what wet pussy is.
By
If he doesn't know what wet pussy is, what's he supposed to do with that?
He could try to punch a punching bag a little harder next time. Maybe he'll avoid getting hit. Who knows?
Such as Tucker Carlson, pretending they know things they don't. And in fact, I followed up with the former Prime Minister, Naftali Bennett, and what he told me is that Mossad has not been active in the United States or against the United States since the Jonathan Pollard scandal of 1987, when a U.S. Army contractor who's actually working for the Navy revealed classified information to the Israeli government. He was prosecuted by the United States government and ended up in prison.
I need to watch this whole clip. This is hilarious.
And so Israel since then has not spied on the United States with Mossad.
Okay. I mean, as I said, if you're going to lie, can you at least come up with a plausible lie? Could you come up with something that maybe we would have to actually do a little research on? They make it too easy. On the surface, it sounds like a lie, and through very little digging in, you realize, oh, yeah, it's a total lie.
It's a lie.
Israel has had nothing to do with any type of intelligence operations in the United States since 1987. That's what you're going with? So Netanyahu Milikowski sitting in front of the House Select Committee in 2001, 2002, saying that we must go to war in Iraq. Like, that's totally no intelligence there. That's just made up shit. Like I said, let them keep going. Let them continue to dig their own grave. And then we will ultimately pick up the pieces when it's all said and done. We don't really have
to hear Ben Shapiro. Why did we have to be subjected to that? He is such a bitch. Like, he's such a little man bitch. Like, he's never been put in his place. And it's unfortunate. It is. It's unfortunate for the rest of us.
My money's on you if you two ever got into a scrap.
Oh, well, but yeah, I again, he lost to a speed bag. So I'm not, so I don't feel like it's, it's me, but yeah,
from one guy to another, the one thing I've noticed, especially when it comes to support for endless war, it's always by very emasculated men that are usually the most eager to say that you have to go and die for what I believe in. It'd be one thing if Shapiro was coming out and saying, I totally believe in this cause and I'm totally going to go fight for the IDF. No, he would never do such a thing. And that's something that is almost universally repeated by anybody else. And I would think that if you truly believed in something that much, that you would be willing to fight on the front lines and die for it. So yeah, that'd be great. So my question to you, Eric, as we wind down the conversation, is something that Jen wanted to address tonight that I think is very important.
Which is,
what do you think is ultimately going to happen with Iran? Do you think that Israel is going to convince this country to go to war in Iran? Or do you think that Trump has at least some semblance of a spine where he understands that if he goes too far with the war games and the saber rattling, that if it actually leads to an actual conflict, that there really is no coming back for the United States? And Iran has made it very clear that they've reached the point of no return. If they get struck, again, they're going to bomb Tel Aviv. They are not hesitating at this point. They've made it clear that they'll do it. So what do you think is ultimately going to happen? Will cooler heads prevail? Because I'm already hearing that the supposed meeting that's supposed to take place tomorrow is now not happening. So who the hell knows? But what do you think will ultimately be the outcome?
They've been trying to do this for the past at least 40 years, trying to do all this. And they moved in the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier. They moved in a whole bunch of military hardware. Just recently, in the past 2 weeks, we gave Israel our annual tribute of over $3 billion. But just recently, in the past week, we gave them another $6.6 billion in arms sales on top of that, and also $9 billion to Saudi Arabia. So we're doing a heavy arms buildup surrounding Iran right now and getting ready. Now, these negotiations that they're doing, it's not for the fake reasons of just, to disarm their nuclear stuff, which they never have, and all that other stuff. One of the things that they're talking about, they want to limit, they want to be able to stop or limit Iran's ballistic missile capability because of the 12-day war that happened last time, where Israel just got their hole punched in for 12 days straight and couldn't do nothing except for beg America. Yeah. They want to stop Iran from having that capability in the future. And yes, they want Iran to topple. They funded and they pushed for this protest to topple the government recently. The protest failed and died down. They will try again in the future. Will they actually go forward and do heavy strikes? Well, before they took Venezuela, I was telling people they're going to do maximum pressure. They're going to do everything in their power, but they'll never actually strike it. And they did strike it. So now, to me, it's like everything is fair game to them. They're going for, and here I have a crazy conspiracy theory is I think Israel's trying to take over the world. I think this is inside their heads. The whole story with the red cows that they're raising. Why would you go through all that trouble to genetically modify, raise cows, to do this if you didn't think that the Messiah would come this generation and that this is the generation for them to actually take over and inherit the world? And remember, too, their Messiah is not supposed to be supernatural. So they can put that title on pretty much anybody. So who knows? Because Benjamin Netanyahu's got a big, giant ego and everything, too. He's no holds bar. I mean, I can't believe some of the stuff that he's done. He's attacked Lebanon. He's just like no breaks, completely reckless and ruthless pursuit of power. And I think he's going for it, man. I think that they're serious about Cuba, Greenland, and Iran. And then after all that, they're going to go further. I mean, I think they're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing until they do control everything. I think that inside their crazy minds, this is the generation that they're going to have their prophecy and all that crazy stuff. So interesting times we live in, for sure, man.